What's up, Guardians, and welcome back, Warlocks. I'm Profane, thanks for checking out the video. Today we're checking out an incredible Warlock build, and this one's like a nice bottle of wine. It continues to get better with age. So if you're looking for a top tier build to take on Grandmaster Nightfalls, or even solo dungeons, then you might want to take advantage of the benefits that this build offers. Today's build revolves around the Prismatic subclass, and it features an exotic class item that comes with the Spirit of Necrotic and the Spirit of the Claw. If you haven't had any luck in getting this combination, then I would recommend to use the Claws of Ahamkara or the Necrotic Grip. And if you're not able to use Prismatic, then I would recommend using the Solar subclass instead, with either exotic option. I was drawn back into using this build because of the new Stasis Glaive. The Rake Angle is a legendary kinetic glaive that drops with several great weapon perks, including the combination of Chill Clip and Rhyme Stealer. So by taking those benefits and adding them in with this Prismatic subclass and exotic class item, we'll be able to dish out some incredible levels of damage while keeping ourselves and teammates safe and protected. While the Rake Angle will be an exceptional weapon to use with this build, it's not the only glaive that will benefit us. The Edge of Intent would also be a great option since it generates a healing turret once it's been fully charged. And there's also the Winter Bite, which would be a great heavy option. Before we get lost into a glaive rabbit hole, let's talk further about the intrinsic benefits that these exotic spirits will provide us. The Spirit of Necrotic applies poison whenever striking enemies with a powered or unpowered melee. You can look at this as free damage, because once you've defeated a poisoned enemy, that poison will spread to nearby targets. This pairs up nicely with the Spirit of Claw, which grants us with an additional melee charge, which means we'll be able to spread that poison much more effectively. And by using a glaive with the Spirit of Necrotic, we'll be able to spread that poison as we attack enemies with our light swing. To cater to our use of these exotic traits, we are using the Feed the Void aspect, alongside the Hellion buddy. Feed the Void grants Devour, which provides us with a reliable source of health regeneration and bonus grenade energy. Whenever Devour is active, each final blow will grant full health restoration and as much as a 20% bonus in grenade energy. In general gameplay, we could swap the Hellion aspect out for Lightning Surge, and we could use Arcane Needles to give ourselves as many as 4 Lightning Surges to perform. But when it comes to end-game content, I'm less inclined to use the Lightning Surge, since it can easily put you into some unsavory situations. And because of that, we are taking the benefits of the Scorch and Ignitions that the Hellion buddy will trigger, and adding that in with the Incinerator Snap. This will greatly extend our ability to spread Scorch across the battlefield, and since we'll have 2 melee charges available, we'll be able to spread a ton of poison. And with the Rake Angle equipped, we could add the effects of Slow and Freeze into the equation. When it comes to our choice of super, Song of Flame is going to be the most lucrative option because we're going to have a lot more Incinerator Snaps that we can perform, and we'll be able to continuously spread that poison. So even with Ignitions being a little buggy right now, I would still use Song of Flame over top of Nova Bomb. Song of Flame provides a 90% damage resistance bonus, which will greatly improve our survivability in more challenging activities. And since we'll have the Spirit of Necrotic and Claw amplifying Song of Flame, we'll be able to pump out a lot more damage with Song of Flame than we normally would. As far as our grenade option goes, we are using Coldsnap grenades, which will give us an extra method to freeze enemies. In terms of Prismatic Fragments, we are utilizing the benefits of Facet of Dawn, so whenever we strike enemies with our powered melee, we're going to activate Radiance. When Radiance is active, our weapons will deal 25% more damage, and they'll have the ability of piercing barrier champion shields. Whether we're using Lightning Surges or Incinerator Snaps, we're going to be able to keep activating that Radiance, so that we'll be able to maintain that bonus in damage. We're using Facet of Ruin, which will increase the damage caused when frozen enemies shatter, and it's also going to increase the radius of our ignitions and those shattering effects, which is going to work out perfectly since we've got the Rake Angle and Coldsnap grenades causing freeze, and Incinerator Snaps and Hellion buddies triggering ignitions. With Facet of Courage, we'll gain a 10% increase to the damage caused by any of our light-based abilities, whenever they're used against enemies who are under the effect of a darkness debuff, which does include Slow and Freeze. To improve the regeneration rate of not only our melee energy, but of our grenade energy as well, we are using Facet of Balance. So whenever we defeat enemies with light-based energy, we're going to generate a small amount of melee energy, but when we defeat enemies with darkness, we'll generate grenade energy instead. Incinerator Snap, Lightning Surges, and Glaives all require us to be fairly close to our target, which is why we are using Facet of Protection. So whenever we are surrounded by enemies, we'll gain a 15% bonus in damage resistance. And when we cast our Transcendence, this will increase to 32%. With this build featuring a mixture of light and dark based energies, we'll be able to recharge our Transcendence pretty fast, which means we'll be able to spam our Incinerator Snap and combo grenades to a much greater extent. And if timed out properly, we could literally go from our Transcendence to our Song of Flame back to our Transcendence. With class tree options now addressed, let's switch gears and talk about our artifact mods. We are using Hail the Storm, which will increase the radius and the damage that crystals and frozen enemies deal whenever they shatter. And when crystals shatter, small little shards of ice will track down nearby targets and trigger slow. Conductive Cosmic Crystal will increase the damage dealt by Void and Arc abilities whenever they're used against slowed and frozen enemies, but we would only find benefit out of this mod whenever we're using Lightning Surge. By adding a grenade launcher into our loadout, we can take advantage of Concussive Reload and Kinetic Impact. Concussive Reload will cause high-value targets to become weakened with a 15% debuff. Between Radiance and Facet of Courage, we're already looking at a 37% increase in our overall damage output, so this would really help us annihilate those enemies even faster. And by adding in Kinetic Impact, our heavy grenade launchers will activate Kinetic Tremors, which is going to add a lot of extra damage and stun unstoppable champions. The Hullabaloo and the VS Chill Inhibitor are two heavy grenade launchers that I would highly recommend using with this build. And if you decided to pass up on using a Glaive, I would recommend using a breach load grenade launcher like the Liturgy or the Lingering Dread so that you could continue to reap the benefits of Chill Clip and Concussive Reload. Outside of our use of grenade launchers and glaives, our choice in primary weapons will be reliant upon the activity modifiers that we're faced with, but I would advise using primary weapons that come with Heal Clip, Rhyme Stealer, or Repulsor Brace so that we would improve our survivability even further. With our class tree, weapons, and artifact now addressed, the only thing left for us to discuss is our choice in armor and character stats. With in-game content in mind, having tier 10 resilience will be a priority. This way, all incoming damage is going to be reduced by 30%. Since this build revolves around the use of our melee abilities, we want to focus as much towards strength as we can so that we could minimize the cooldown of our Incinerator Snap or our Lightning Surge. We are using the Melee Kickstart and Invigoration armor mods, which will provide us with a lot of extra melee energy, but both of these rely on orbs to function. This is why we are using the Heavy-Handed Gloves mod, a Reaper class item mod, and a Harmonic Siphon mod. And by equipping the Hands-On mod to our helmet, we will gain bonus super energy as we defeat enemies with our powered melee. So not only will we have our Transcendence back lightning fast, but we're going to have incredible uptime of our super energy as well. There's a lot of powerful Warlock builds in Destiny 2 right now, especially Prismatic. But this Necrotic Claw build strikes the perfect balance between optimal damage, crowd control, and survivability, giving you a top tier option to solo master lost sectors and dungeons with, to which I wish you all the best of luck throughout your journeys. That's going to wrap things up for today's video, but I'd love to hear your thoughts about this Prismatic build and what build you've been flexing so far here in Revenant. If you need help putting together this build for yourself, then be sure to check out the Mobalytics link that's down in the description, where you'll be able to find this and a ton of other great in-game builds. Thank you as always for checking out the video. If you enjoyed and found it helpful, then be sure to hit that like button below, along with the subscribe button if you're new. Both are greatly appreciated, and both really do help support the channel. And a big thank you and shout out to all of our current channel members. Your ongoing support is greatly appreciated. And until next time, Guardians, this has been Profane, wishing you all some happy hunting.